In the far corners of the galaxy, beyond countless stars and nebulas, stood the Galactic Academic Nexus, a renowned institution that gathered the brightest minds from every corner of the cosmos. Among its marble corridors, where holographic patterns swirled like cosmic visions, a lone human student, Lily Carter, made her way to an advanced mathematics class. At just 16 years old, Lily already exuded a quiet confidence, uncommon among her peers. Her dark, cropped hair framed sharp features, and her eyes gleamed with a deep curiosity about the universe that surrounded her. Awarded a scholarship for her exceptional intellect, she was both admired and, at times, resented by her alien classmates. As Lily entered the vast, oval-shaped classroom, she observed the usual gathering of students settling into their seats. The tiered rows formed a circle around a floating central platform where a digital display showed the day's topic: quantum variational theory and predictive temporal calculations. The complexity of the lesson stirred excitement within Lily, but there was something different about today's session. At the center of the room stood Professor HFY, his imposing figure cutting through the space. A member of the Aelnari, a species known for both their intellect and intimidating physical presence, HFY was nearly 7 feet tall, his iridescent blue and violet scales shimmering in the dim light. His many eyes scanned the room with an air of authority, tinged with impatience. Lily took her seat, feeling the weight of the room's tension. The whispers of her classmates floated through the air as they exchanged nervous glances, pointing at the complex equations on the board. HFY began the class, his voice rich and commanding. Today, you will tackle a problem none of you have ever solved. His eyes swept across the room, pausing just a moment too long on Lily. She caught the subtle flicker in his gaze, but kept her expression neutral. She knew that despite her accomplishments, HFY was skeptical of her place here. Humans, in his view, were often considered inferior to the more advanced species around her. The professor activated a series of holographic projections that filled the air with intricate symbols and diagrams. Around her, alien students from various species murmured in apprehension. Some of their bioluminescent features dimmed with anxiety. Among them were towering beings with crystalline skin, delicate zillions draped in silk, and the multi-limbed Gorons, who excelled in quick calculations. The tension in the room was palpable as the challenge ahead loomed. HFY's gaze shifted back to the board, his numerous eyes flashing with a glimmer of something almost playful. The equation before you, he announced, is one of the most intricate predictive calculations used in interstellar navigation. A quantum variational problem that demands the highest level of accuracy. You may attempt it, but I doubt many of you will succeed. A surge of excitement lit up in Lily's mind. She had always been captivated by the mysteries of space and the mathematics that underpinned it. She wasn't the top student in every field, but she thrived on the challenge of solving problems, of finding order in disorder. Her peers began jotting down the equation, their expressions tense, with some already defeated by its complexity. But Lily took a different route. She studied the symbols, spotting a pattern within the chaos, a sequence that reminded her of certain human theories in physics. Her mind raced as her fingers itched to start, but she reminded herself to stay calm and observe first. She needed to understand HFY's true intent before acting. Then HFY's voice sliced through the air, breaking her focus. "Miss Carter," he called, gesturing toward her with one of his long, clawed hands. "Why don't you come up and demonstrate your grasp of the problem?" Lily's heart skipped. All eyes turned to her, a mix of curiosity and doubt in their stares. HFY's tone was controlled, yet there was an underlying challenge in it, like he was daring her to prove her place. She could almost hear the unspoken words, "Show me you belong here." Taking a deep breath, Lily stood and walked toward the board, feeling the weight of the alien gazes on her. The holographic equations danced around the display, a three-dimensional array of formulas and theoretical paths that seemed both magnificent and daunting. HFY stood just to the side, his many eyes fixed on her, his face unreadable beneath his scales. "Proceed," he instructed. Lily exhaled slowly, allowing her mind to absorb the complexity of the problem before her. She studied the equation, analyzing its structure, and quickly realized it wasn't a single calculation but rather multiple layers of interconnected quantum models. While the traditional approach would be to tackle each layer step by step, she saw a way to combine them efficiently, solving the equation faster without sacrificing precision. Her hand moved to the control panel beneath the board. With a swift motion, she adjusted the interface. Her fingers danced over the digital screen as she worked through the problem, each keystroke accompanied by a soft chime that filled the room. She could feel HFY's gaze piercing her, and from the whispers behind her, a ripple of doubt and intrigue passed through the students. But Lily ignored it, her focus unwavering as she pressed on. Lily noticed that HFY had moved slightly closer, his unblinking gaze fixed on her with increasing intensity. The skepticism that had once clouded his eyes seemed to shift into genuine curiosity. As the minutes passed, her method became apparent to the class. She was solving the equation layer by layer, combining human pattern recognition with alien mathematical techniques. With each step, Lily's excitement grew as the solution began to take shape in her mind, every piece falling into place like the final moments of a puzzle. At last, she completed the final sequence. With one last decisive input, the equation stabilized and the projection flickered, confirming the solution. Lily stepped back, taking a deep breath, her heart pounding as the glowing solution hovered before her. The room fell into an intense silence. For a moment, no one moved or spoke, as if the air had been drained from the room. Lily turned toward Chexis, her expression calm but her eyes shining with quiet pride. Chexis's gaze remained fixed on her, and she caught a fleeting look of surprise. "Well done," he said, his voice steady, yet tinged with something new, respect. "An unconventional approach, Miss Carter, but it seems to have worked." As she returned to her seat, she felt the weight of her classmates' astonished stares. Some regarded her with newfound admiration, while others looked frustrated or threatened. But Lily remained unfazed. For the first time, she felt she truly belonged, not just as a human, but as a student at the Nexus. A small smile tugged at her lips as she reflected on her accomplishment, ready for whatever challenge lay ahead. Her achievement soon rippled through the halls of the Galactic Academic Nexus, a human outshining a room full of alien prodigies, especially in a field as advanced as quantum variational theory, was unprecedented. The whispers spread quickly, reaching students from other disciplines. Lily, however, focused on her work, uninterested in fame or proving herself to others. Her true passion lay in discovery, but her newfound reputation had its drawbacks. Some classmates began avoiding her, while others harbored resentment. Still, there were those who were curious, approaching her with questions and inviting her to study groups. Lily walked a fine line, navigating her place in this diverse and alien academic world. One constant throughout this shift was Professor Thxs. Though he had once doubted her, he now frequently called on her in class, his gaze probing, as if he were testing her further. Lily couldn't help but notice the complexity of the questions he posed, increasingly challenging her beyond the standard curriculum. Lily wondered if Thxs was pushing her to see how far her abilities could extend, or if he was simply waiting for her to falter. She didn't have to wait long to find out. Thxs soon announced a unique project designed to test each student's capacity for independent thought. The task was to solve a quantum probability cascade, a complex mathematical model with applications in both interstellar navigation and temporal studies. This project would span several weeks, and students were expected to work alone. It was one of the most difficult assignments the Nexus offered, reserved only for its most exceptional students. Each participant was required to submit their own approach, showcasing their original thinking and methods. While Lily believed the challenge played to her strengths, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more at stake than just the assignment itself. Thxs had seemed almost daring as he presented the project, as if testing whether the students would take it seriously. Later that evening, Lily found herself in the Nexus Library, an awe-inspiring structure that housed the collective knowledge of the galaxy. The grand central hall was illuminated by towering pillars of shimmering light, each linked to a different virtual archive. Students from various species sat in quiet corners, absorbed in holographic displays or deep in ancient alien texts. Lily chose a secluded booth and settled into a comfortable, self-adjusting chair. Taking a deep breath, she activated the holographic display before her, and the project's details materialized in crisp, clear script. She was determined to tackle the problem from a human angle, convinced that her unconventional approach could yield a solution distinct from the traditional Znari methods. However, as she read through the cascade's requirements, the complexity of the model became apparent. This challenge stretched far beyond anything she had previously encountered. In the days that followed, Lily threw herself into the project, poring over alien manuscripts, watching recorded lectures, and experimenting with various calculation techniques. But each attempt led to more frustration. This wasn't just a simple equation. It was a multidimensional problem, involving predictions across multiple realities and accounting for variations that spanned entire timelines. No matter how hard she tried, the calculations never quite added up. Just when she was on the verge of giving up, a breakthrough came in the form of an unexpected discovery. One particularly late evening in the library, while searching through obscure texts, Lily stumbled upon a rare Znari treatise on temporal harmonization. This advanced topic in predictive mathematics was known to be beyond the grasp of most students. Curious, Lily opened the document and began to read. It was dense and difficult, filled with intricate equations and alien terminology. Yet, as she read on, one section stood out to her, sparking a glimmer of insight. The text outlined a phenomenon known as the unity cascade, a sophisticated process where multiple quantum realities briefly align, resulting in a single, unified outcome. It suggested that this method could solve problems that seemed insurmountable through conventional approaches. Lily's heart raced as the concept sank in. If she could apply the unity cascade to her model, it could be the key to solving the quantum probability cascade. But as she delved deeper, she realized the technique required a delicate manipulation of variables and an almost instinctual grasp of quantum harmonics. The risk was immense. Failure could mean the collapse of her entire project. Despite the risks, Lily copied the crucial formulas and returned to her own calculations. Over the following days, she immersed herself entirely in the project, barely leaving her study space. Every waking moment was consumed by the cascade, testing equations, refining the unity cascade technique, and tweaking variables. Throughout this time, she became increasingly aware of THXS's watchful eye. She often caught him observing her from afar, his gaze intense and unreadable. On one occasion, he approached her during a study session. "Miss Carter," he said, his voice low and deliberate, "it seems you're pursuing an unorthodox solution." Lily met his gaze with calm resolve. "I believe it could work, Professor," she answered, though self-doubt tugged at her. HXS nodded slowly, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Your ambition is commendable, but precision is everything. The unity cascade isn't just a theory, it's a delicate process. A single misstep could undo everything." Lily felt a surge of determination rise within her, though she masked it carefully. She wasn't doing this just to prove herself to THXS, she was doing it for herself. This was the part of mathematics that thrilled her, the challenge, the unknown, the chance to break through established limits. As the days turned into weeks, Lily's calculations slowly began to align. Each variable shifted into place with painstaking precision. But just as the solution seemed within reach, disaster struck. One of the final sequences failed to stabilize, sending shockwaves through the entire model. Numbers that had once been perfectly aligned now spiraled into disorder, creating an unmanageable chaos of probabilities that no formula could fix. Frustrated, Lily leaned back, her breath ragged as she stared at the holographic display. Her project was on the verge of collapse, each formula unraveling before her eyes. She had come so close, yet it felt as if the cascade itself was resisting her, refusing to be tamed by a human mind. Just as she was about to abandon the project, a memory of her father's words resurfaced. "Sometimes the most intricate problems can only be solved by changing your perspective." Taking a slow, steady breath, Lily closed her eyes, trying to shift her perspective. Slowly, it dawned on her that her approach had been too inflexible, too focused on forcing each equation into place. The unity cascade wasn't about sheer precision, it was about balance, about creating harmony among the variables, a flow that transcended mere calculation. She loosened her grip on each number, allowing them to interact naturally, instead of forcing them into rigid positions. Hours passed as she worked, and gradually, the cascade stabilized. Instead of isolating individual variables, she guided the entire model as one, directing it into alignment. Her display pulsed with soft, rhythmic light, equations slotting together effortlessly, as if they had been waiting for this moment. Finally, with a single final tweak, the cascade clicked into place, resolving into one stable, unified outcome. Lily stared at the completed solution, disbelief mixed with a rush of triumph. She had done it. She had cracked the quantum probability cascade using the unity cascade, a method few Znari students had dared to try. As she saved her work and prepared to submit it, she noticed Professor THXS standing nearby, observing her with an unreadable expression. There was respect in his eyes, but something deeper lingered there, perhaps even a trace of pride. "Well done, Miss Carter," he said softly, his tone more than just acknowledgement. "You've achieved what few have." Lily gave a quiet nod, a small smile tugging at her lips. She had proven herself, not just to him but to herself. She had earned her place at the nexus. But deep inside, a nagging feeling stirred. This project had only been the beginning. She could sense that an even greater challenge awaited her, one she had yet to uncover. After weeks of pouring herself into the quantum probability cascade, Lily was finally ready to present her findings. The project was complete, the equations flowing together seamlessly like the movements of a carefully orchestrated symphony. As she saved her final work, a sense of calm washed over her, knowing her efforts had culminated in something significant. The day of the presentations arrived, and the air was thick with anticipation. This wasn't just another academic exercise, it was a rite of passage, a test that would separate the true innovators from the rest. The students whispered among themselves as they filed into the Nexus's central auditorium, a vast, circular hall with tiered seating that stretched upward toward the dome-shaped ceiling, offering a breathtaking view of the stars beyond. Lily took her seat, her eyes fixed on the digital stage in the center of the room, where a translucent projection screen awaited to display each student's work. Her heart beat faster with each passing second, the mix of excitement and nerves making her pulse quicken. Professor Tichxs stood at the front, his usual calm authority amplified by a sharper, more focused intensity in his gaze. As the presentations unfolded, students from various worlds stepped forward, each presenting their approach in a way that was uniquely their own. Some demonstrated creative ingenuity, while others showcased remarkable precision. Lily listened closely, impressed by the talent surrounding her, yet there was a quiet confidence within her. She knew her approach was different, possibly even radical by Znari standards, but she had faith in its validity. When it was finally her turn, Professor Tichxs's voice rang out through the auditorium. Miss Lily Carter, our human representative, will now present her solution to the quantum probability cascade. A quiet murmur rippled through the audience as Lily stood and made her way to the platform. She could feel dozens of alien eyes trained on her, some filled with curiosity, others skeptical. She took a steadying breath, calming her nerves before activating her presentation. The screen behind her flared to life, displaying the complex web of equations, with the final solution glowing at the center. Lily began, outlining her thought process, the obstacles she'd faced, and her choice to integrate the unity cascade, a concept so advanced it was seldom attempted. As she spoke, she saw the expressions of her classmates shift from curiosity to disbelief. Even Professor Tichxs was watching her intently, his many eyes narrowing in a way she couldn't quite decipher. As demonstrated, Lily finished, the unity cascade allows for the harmonization of quantum variables, leading to a stable solution for the probability cascade. It's unconventional, yes, but it adheres to both human and Znari mathematical principles. A heavy silence filled the room for a beat, and then, to her surprise, applause erupted. Lily glanced around, catching the amazed looks of several alien students. Even those who had seemed the most doubtful now wore expressions of respect. A smile spread across her face, pride swelling within her at the recognition of her work. But as the applause faded, Professor Tichxs stepped forward, his gaze intense and calculating. "Miss Carter," he said, his voice steady but laced with an unspoken weight, "your solution is indeed remarkable. Yet I must ask, have you fully considered the consequences of the unity cascade?" Lily faltered, momentarily caught off guard. I believe I understand, Professor. The unity cascade consolidates all variables, stabilizing them into one outcome. Tichxs's gaze deepened, his eyes sharp and unwavering. True, but it goes beyond simple mathematics. The unity cascade is a model used in advanced temporal manipulation. Your solution, while impressive, could potentially align multiple timelines, merging them into a single reality. Lily's heart skipped a beat as she processed the weight of his words. She had focused entirely on solving the problem for the assignment, never imagining the far-reaching implications of her solution. Tichxs was suggesting that her calculations might not just affect theoretical equations, but could impact actual timelines, intertwining multiple realities into one. "Does this mean," Lily began, her voice shaky, "that my solution could affect things beyond the classroom?" Tichxs nodded, his expression unreadable. "Exactly. Few have attempted the unity cascade for this very reason. While the equations may appear abstract, their application can reshape outcomes across different realities." A chill ran down Lily's spine. Had she truly unleashed such power? She hadn't intended to manipulate reality itself, yet her approach had opened a door she hadn't expected. She searched Tichxs's face, hoping to read his thoughts, but his features remained neutral, a mask that betrayed no emotion. "But Professor," she asked cautiously, "how can mathematics affect reality?" Tichxs's eyes softened slightly, and for the first time, she sensed a hint of empathy in his gaze. "Mathematics is the language of the universe, Miss Carter. When we manipulate equations, we are, in essence, shaping the very fabric of existence. At the Nexus, we are taught to approach this power with caution. The multiverse is a fragile construct, and even the smallest change can create ripples that span countless timelines." Lily felt the gravity of his words settle on her. She had always adored mathematics for its elegance and precision, precision, but never before had she realized that her work could have such far-reaching consequences. She turned her gaze to the solution displayed on the screen, the glowing cascade that once seemed so beautiful, now carrying an air of weight and mystery. "So, what happens now?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. THXS studied her carefully. "Now, you must decide what kind of mathematician you want to be. Knowledge is power, and with power comes responsibility. You have shown exceptional skill, but you must also comprehend the consequences of your actions." This project was a test not just of your intellect, but of your judgment. The room fell silent, the significance of his words sinking in. Lily felt a rush of emotions, pride, fear, and a deep sense of responsibility. She had always sought knowledge, but now she understood that it carried weight, requiring choices that reached far beyond her own desires. As she stepped down from the platform, she noticed her classmates watching her with newfound respect. Some students looked at her with awe as she made her way back to her seat. Her mind was racing with the weight of Professor THXS's words. The Unity Cascade had been far more than a mere solution. It had revealed a glimpse into the vast, interconnected web of reality. She had witnessed a truth that few dared to comprehend, and she knew now that her journey at the Nexus was just beginning. After the presentations, as the students filed out of the auditorium, THXS approached her. His expression softened slightly. "You have great potential, Miss Carter. Keep today's lesson in mind and apply it wisely. The Nexus is a place of learning, but also a place of choices. You will face many decisions in the years ahead." Lily nodded, a surge of determination flooding her. She had proven herself as a student, but now she realized that true knowledge came with the responsibility to use it for something greater than herself. Walking through the corridors of the Nexus, the stars visible through the transparent dome above, she felt an unexpected sense of clarity. The future ahead was unknown, filled with challenges she couldn't yet foresee, but she was ready. The quantum probability cascade had been her first trial, but Lily knew it would not be the last. In the days that followed, she threw herself into her studies with renewed purpose. Driven not only by her curiosity, but by a deeper sense of responsibility, she spent long hours in the library, learning about the intricacies of the multiverse, the delicate dance of timelines, and the profound consequences of manipulating them. THXS occasionally checked in, offering advice when necessary, but he gave her the freedom to discover her own path. The Unity Cascade had unlocked a world of possibilities she had never imagined, one that stretched beyond the Nexus and beyond the known galaxy. She had glimpsed the vastness of existence, and now she was prepared to explore it, not as a conqueror, but as a protector of knowledge. For Lily Carter, once an outsider in the galactic academic nexus, the future was full of promise. She was determined to meet it with wisdom, courage, and a profound respect for the mysteries of the universe.